Greetings. How is it going? Let's just start with some declarations and some statements to declare to our atmosphere that we declare that all the messages that are meant for our path will reach us, and we speak a removal of any barriers that would cause us to not hear or not perceive. And we give permission to our divine team to move things, people, etc. out of our life accordingly, according to the highest timeline, that we give permission to our divine team to intercede on our behalf. That we are with a fresh yes, opting into the divine plan that is attached to our divine identity for this mission. So we say yes to all that. As you can tell, I'm just getting ready, but I was feeling that nudge. So anyway, as I knock over my thing, and we give the highest praise to the Most High. The highest praise to the Most High, and we celebrate the Spirit for rescuing us out of the hands of enslavement, out of the ideologies of enslavement. Yes. Woo! Preach. Preach. I don't know if you saw in my community tab, I post random things there, but there was this post that said, they told you healing was witchcraft, so you wouldn't want to do it. And was like, boom. I couldn't figure out how to say that in such a concise way. But that's it. They told you healing, all of these different modalities that are included for healing. They told you all of those are witchcraft so that you wouldn't want to do it. Because we don't want to be bad. And because we're innocent. And since we're innocent, we don't know that they would lie. The innocent ones, the divine ones that are not the evil people on this and the evil energy on this planet, we would never think, you would never fathom that somebody would purposely keep 222. We would never think that somebody would purposely keep healing from the people, because it's like, for those of us who are not that level of evil, it is absolutely 234. It is absolutely mind-boggling. You know what I'm saying? Like, you cannot fathom that such an evil would exist. When you start to realize there's young children involved in this, honest people, military people, people that are out here serving, innocent people, good people, anyway. So it's one of those things. It's like, there's no way that exists. That's, and then also when you're told and programmed to believe that this is the medical system, this is medicine, this is good for you, this is what will help you heal. But then you realize nobody's healing in these circles. I'm going to say something that's super taboo, I'm sure, in certain fields. But I'm going to invite you to do your own research as you walk through life. And if you're around children a lot, if you have little kids and so therefore you're meeting other people's kids because you have kids, it'll be a lot easier to start seeing this. But go ahead and start paying attention to the kids who have language development issues, and ask, if you feel comfortable with, if you know enough, or if you know their parents enough to ask, start asking those ones what medical interventions those children have received. And then the ones who don't have any sort of speech delay or issues, ask those parents what medical interventions those children have received according to what do they call it? They call it a schedule. There's a word and then a schedule. They call it this schedule. And then if you're like, that seems really sus to inject my child with that much chemicals and heavy metals and whatever else is in there that they don't really know, and they don't really measure how they interact together. So if you're like, then you call it a delayed schedule. But anyway, so I'm hoping that I'm speaking cryptic for a reason, and go ahead and just start paying attention to that. Do your own private investigation and just start. It won't take long. you get a group of 10 and you'll see quickly what's going on here. The good news is that healing is always possible. I stand by that for sure. So healing the gut, healing the gut is like the second brain, right? They call it that. So healing the gut will help to start reconnect things that have been damaged and disconnected due to their medicine. Okay. Healing the gut is like the first, that's where you want to start. Okay, so here, we give thanks for this message. It seems all over the place right now. And we speak a hedge of protection around this message and every single person that's meant to receive it. And what else? Yeah, we give thanks for the collective. Okay, so moon, subconscious, we came up with that again. So right now we're being called to trust your intuition more than the 3D. We have moon and ignore the 3D. And then as you are tuning in with your intuition, which might go against what people would say is common sense, or what people would say is like the obvious answer. So follow your intuition, ignoring the 3D around you, even if you were to be depending on the 3D. And by the way, these messages are timeless, so if it encountered you, this can be relevant for your path. And if this is for you, this will be like confirmation for something you're already experiencing. As I'm speaking, dots will be kind of like illuminating in your mind, or something's gonna come, and then when it comes, you'll remember this message, and you'll probably want to come back to it and be like, okay, what was it? Because there's instructions here. But anyway, and if it's not for you, if nothing makes sense, if I'm just sounding like I'm just rambling, making stuff up, then this particular message isn't for you. You can just lovingly leave it here. And, stay subscribed, like check back, because there might be other messages that are for you. But I'm speaking to a collective, and you can imagine that it's going to be through the expanse of time. So it's not just like the people that are here now, but this will be a timeless message that reaches people, and it will find them in their journey along the way as it's meant to. Okay, so now we're back to that. The message here from Spirit is trust your intuition, despite what the 3D would tell you, because there's a green light on the way. There's a green light that way. Green light. Moon, ignore the 3D, green light. So, let's say that the physical realm answer would be like, financially, you would do this because of this. But you're feeling in your gut, like, no, I'm supposed to do this financially because of this thing, because of whatever. And you just know it, like, you know it within yourself. Like, maybe I'm not even gonna give all of the different examples of what it could be, but maybe it's an act of sowing your currency of trust in a direction, and you know that that's what this is, and that will bring to a green light, which means like access granted. And then a wealth transfer, and you'll receive an inheritance as you do that. Wow. Justice is being served. Justice is being served in some sort of situation in your life. And then it's going to lead to that peacock season, which is full of beauty, self-expression, confidence, royalty, transformation. So it's so important right now to kind of move in, what's that word? Like, be poised. You don't have to be talking to everybody. 919 caught my attention. You don't have to be like running all of your ideas or plans by somebody else. You don't have to be taking advice from everybody else. Okay, so nines, by the way. So that's what I just got cued. Like nines, like maybe you're seeing triple nines. It's this new beginning. It's like this transformation moment. You don't have to be checking your plans by everybody. And And this is one of those moments where it's just you and your intuition, and you're depending on your intuition. You're knowing that you know that you know that you know. And hey, let me tell you something really clearly. Whether you come from a background of reading biblical scripture, or whether you're just living the journey, there are times where you will be led into situations that appear to be like blow up in your face, but you were indeed led there. And this is the part of life that's such a weird conundrum, because is that a word, conundrum? I'm flowing right now, so there's some things that come out of my mouth and I'm like, what am I talking about? But okay, back to this. Because culturally, we've been trained up in society to do everything according to like what makes sense for society. Like what makes the most sense for, you know, you climb the corporate ladder, you just sit in your little house and you don't, and by the way, there is nothing wrong with achievement. And we ought to be living in a way, like the end of the book of Micah says, like love justice, love mercy, something like that, do mercy, love justice, like live a very, we embrace what I'm saying is the opposite of lawlessness. Lawlessness is not the thing. That chaotic energy, not the vibe. That desperation, not the vibe. Like when you're being controlled by your flesh suit, like to do things that damage your life or damage your body or damage your soul, like not the vibe. So anyway, all of those like righteousness principles intact, there are still times where you'll be led into something that doesn't appear to be a success on the outside. It was really bad, actually. It was really, really bad. But the thing is, if you bring me a higher love, oh, that song just won't leave me alone. It keeps coming. Okay, so, and it's funny, I don't even listen to that song. Like, it's not on my playlist. I believe there's a cover. Maybe James Blake, is he the one that does it? It's beautiful. There's a cover that's really beautiful. It's like a ballad cover. But anyway, I digress. Gosh, can you tell I need to go work out? Because I'm like, this is like my energy. Maybe I'm tapping into your energy and you're all over the place. We all need to go hug a tree and get grounded and maybe put our feet in some water. Okay, so there are times where you'll be led into situations, circumstances, and seasons where on the external 3D realm, it does not look like you're doing it right. It looks like you're doing it wrong. It looks like it's adding up to nothing. It looks like you're accumulating nothing. But if you stay with the Spirit has this miraculous way of turning all of that random shit into a beautiful tapestry of divine masterpiece. Whew, I'm getting chills right now about that. And that divine masterpiece will include everything that you need, including the wealth, including the self-expression, the beauty, the confidence, the royalty, the transformation, the justice, the green light, the ability that you'll keep finding your way through things, even though it's like bombs. It reminds me of what David said, where he's like, 1,000 may fall to my left and 10,000 to my right, but like, yo, I keep going. Like, how? Because he was linked up with the Spirit, and he would fall, and he wasn't ever moved by those 3D expectations. He wasn't trying to be the cool guy. And maybe part of that was just straight up like he wasn't allowed to be, because he was rejected by his family. Then he was rejected by the freaking tribe that he saved. He was running around with a bunch of like misfits, that was his new army. I mean, yet they were like kicking ass and taking names, slaying giants, like just so much. And then you would think that the Spirit would honor him and be like, yes, I'm gonna give you all wins because of this. But then as he's out there just freaking, like, we talk about the highlight of David's life when he like slayed Goliath, but we didn't talk about how then he was chased by Saul for like the rest of his freaking life, pretty much. Yet he never took revenge on Saul. He had the chance to kill Saul, but he didn't. He cut his garment just to show, like, I was this close to you and I still didn't murk you. Triple fours, by the way. And then he's with these misfits, and like, so he literally goes to the other team. Like, this, by the way, is like the opposite team. He's like with those guys, like, and they let him lead them because they're like, this guy knows. They finally appreciate him for what he's got and what, like, where was his tribe, the ones that he just saved from being slaves to these giants? Where were those guys when, you know what I'm saying? Like, who stood up for him? Nobody advocated for David when he's running around being the baddest mamma jamma that there was out there. And then remember the part where, like, then his, like, all of the wives and children got freaking stolen. What do they call that? Like, abducted? I did not get good sleep last night. I apologize. This is like the divine vessel combined with solo mom, children, up all night. Okay. Maybe that's why I'm so scattered. But anyway, so then it's like, you would think the spirit, it's like, how could you let that happen to him? You know, but then they went and they got him. They got him back is what I mean. They got the women. But still, I look at that and I'm like, but what happened while they were there? Like, I don't look past those things and just be like, well, yay, they got him back. It's like, what did those women and children have to endure? That terror. Like, this shit is messy. This walk is messy. This journey is messy. And like, this is where sometimes I think with the finished work messaging, sometimes we can kind of get lost in it, just like, oh, Yeshua did it all and therefore we won't have to go through it. But we know that biblically it doesn't say that at all. It says, like, there will be trials, there will be, you know, like, you're gonna have to deal with the world, but don't worry, I overcame the world. But the thing is, I think we need to get onto our divine mindset, how much of this is about, you're here to be, you know, you're here to what's the words that I'm supposed to use right now? You're here to transmute the darkness, which means you're going to encounter the darkness, okay? But it's not going to take you out, just like it didn't take David out. But his life wasn't pretty. So anyway, that's my point. You know, he's one of the most gifted, one of the most talked about, one of the most, like, man after God's own heart. And yet his whole life was a shit show. His freaking son, like, you know, the R word to, like, the daughter. Wasn't that his son with some daughter? Because remember, he had a bunch of wives, because he finally did make it into the kingdom, and, you know. And then it's almost like him arriving. This is a huge message, too, that I've gotten a lot for a long time along the way. And I hope I don't forget it either. Is that when you do step into what the justice that's being served and the wealth that's coming in, and, you know, when you get to fully step into your peacock mode of your beauty and your, you know, everything is just like posh now, it's almost like he lost that deep, direct connection with the spirit in a way that was meaningful to him. Was David, man, I'm starting to get my story, I'm starting to question if I'm getting my Bible stories confused. But wasn't he the one that also had Solomon? And we know how Solomon got here. So anyway, the point is, it was a hot mess. It's a hot mess. And my point for this message is, just because you're led through seasons that don't look like, you know, it's extremely humiliating when you get led through a season that you know you were led into and through, and then it blows up in your face, and people are like, I thought you, like, knew God, you know, like, I thought you could, you know, whatever, had faith, like, I thought you. And what we're gonna find out is that these are the things that we signed up for, and we agreed to from before we got here, because we had to learn these little lessons, like, we're gathering context, we're transmuting darkness. And maybe there were some bombs thrown in that weren't necessarily, like, a part of the plan, but I'm getting the ringing in my ear, so this is very important. Maybe there were bombs thrown in that were not a part of the plan, but what you will find is that you will walk through the fire and you'll come out the other side not even smelling like smoke. And then now you have the gold of the wisdom and the experience and the treasure chest of the experience. It's like an inheritance that you gain It's kind of like in a video game, you know, where it's like you didn't plan on going that way, but now you get to like take the treasures, the spoils is what, you know, they called it. You're gonna have the spoils from those unplanned battles. Maybe that's part of that, the justice that's being served. Anyway, I know this message will reach whoever it's for, and I'm gonna go work out. Be blessed, be well, be free.
And just so you know, new readings are released every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific, and new podcast episodes release every Friday evening. Remember to subscribe to Seed, Soil, Water, home of the Beloved Collective and the Flower and Fire podcast.